Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, what are the person on your mind's thoughts and feelings about you and the connection today? There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Rose Quartz, along with this card which says positive movement forward. Group 2 is the Aventurine, along with this card which says love begins. And group 3 is the Amethyst, along with this card which says partnerships and alliances. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the cards and the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Rose Quartz, along with this card which says positive movement forward. So to channel some quick introductory energies from this card, this is basically the equivalent of the 6 of Swords. So that can mean a couple things for your situation. Either this is somebody where this is a long distance connection, maybe oceans or bodies of water separate the two of you, and it can indicate a bit of frustration in that sense about not being able to be in closer physical proximity to you, and definitely an interest and strategy at this particular point in time in maybe making some plans to travel towards you, to invite you to travel toward them. Thoughts in terms of the long-term potential of this situation. How are we going to make this work? How are we going to cross the geographic divide that separates us? This can also indicate somebody you are in a no contact situation with. Maybe it has been a distance of time, an ocean of time, or it feels that way anyway since you last spoke with them. Maybe there were some hurt feelings or something in their personal life that came up and they sort of ducked out of the equation with you with little explanation, just sort of dropped off the radar or energetically sort of pulled back into themselves. And this can definitely indicate a desire to come out of the shell, to move closer to you, offer some kind of apology or explanation for their behavior, for ghosting, maybe even just becoming very overwhelmed by the energetic nature of the dynamic between the two of you. Almost a sense of kind of too good to be true sort of fits this energy as well, to where they may have needed to sort of pull back, restrain themselves, really sit and think about this situation logically, evaluating in, again, that Swords energy, the mental energy, as opposed to just leaping forward from the heart space or in very passion-based energy toward furthering the connection with you or investing further. But it feels like time apart has really served the situation well, to where they've come to some kind of conclusion that they would rather move towards you than to continue to fight the current and sort of drift further apart from you as well. This also really indicates somebody who is feeling inclined to sort of step up and do the right thing. So this can be where they gave you some mixed signals. Maybe some of their behavior, actions, or words were insensitive. Again, this could have been somebody that had a lot going on in their life and were very self-directed, self-focused, and not really attending to your emotional needs, maybe being a little bit selfish in terms of having the spotlight on them, the attention on them, not necessarily holding space for you in your hour of need, or just in your dealings with one another recently. If you're still in contact with this individual, it may be something where, again, they've sort of dominated the conversations. They've, had a lot that they've needed to sort of sort out in their life, maybe been using you as a sounding board, almost kind of emotionally dumping in a certain way, that now that they've kind of come through some sort of storm, maybe something on an emotional level, or it's really dawned on them that kind of reciprocity in the situation may have ebbed, and so there's a desire to flow back towards you and to provide some more attention, really check in with you, and not just kind of make the small talk about, well, how was your day, how are you, with the intention of just sort of politeness or niceties, and sort of wanting to redirect in all authenticity and in all actuality the situation back to them. There's something that has really occurred to this person that in order to be able to sustain this connection moving forward, they're going to need to give a little bit more consistency and attention, truly holding space and listening, hearing beyond the words that you speak, or even silence, which can speak volumes in and of itself, in order to be able to very positively sort of have an outcome in this situation. So all about communication and moving beyond some sort of difficulty, moving beyond obstacles between the two of you, some kind of form of apology that may be owed, or even just more consistency, clarity. This can even really speak about somebody who harbors deeper feelings for you than they have let on up to this point in time, that may also be strategizing how to bring these out into the light, how to illuminate these feelings with this kind of sun peeking out here from the corner of this sailboat, and sort of the lengths that they are needing to go to, maybe time that they have thought about this. These are not just feelings that have recently emerged, but it's almost, this boat on like a very deep lake or on the ocean, for example, that what they may be planning on telling you could be very surprising in terms of the depth and nature of this communication, just how long they tell you that they have had feelings and have maybe been on the fence about declaring these up to now. So I'm going to start with some tarot to get a little bit deeper into this and see what else their thoughts and feelings are about you and the connection right now. Okay, so we have the Three of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. The Chariot, which is Cancer. And the Hierophant, which is Taurus. So with this Chariot here, interesting, this, boat here, and then we got the vehicle with the Chariot. This can again confirm some sort of long distance connection, a desire to travel towards you, to move towards you, to at least maybe even open up the lines of communication to bigger plans, things in the long term. They're very happy with the foundation that has been set between you up to this point in time, but there are definitely these kind of insurmountable roadblocks that it feels like their focus is on at this point. It has either led them to sort of hold back from this full disclosure about the nature of what they feel for you up to this point in time, a sense of like, well, if I confess these feelings, what can we do about them? Because, we're thousands of miles apart, or, we're countries apart, or just whatever that looks like, that it's not necessarily practical to kind of meet with one another face to face. Maybe this has to do with work or school, that it's kind of put you at a distance, like on other sides of a country, for example, so that it's not very easy to kind of connect with one another in that sense. And this is almost leading into the idea that if they've been holding back feelings up to this point in time because of that, because of those real world sort of geographic obstacles between the two of you, they are now at the point of starting to make some pretty fundamental plans within themselves, to at least sort of almost bypass the very direct, kind of like the elephant in the room, the fact that if I confess these feelings, this is going to lead to a whole new level of discussion and planning. It's going to take time before we can actually act upon these things, and yet not necessarily wanting to focus just on the negative, just on the obstacle, just on the mountains, maybe literally, that exists between the two of you. But it's almost starting a conversation or redirecting the focus instead to this higher potential. I see a future with you. I want you in my future. I want to build something long term. What do we need to do in order to make this happen? If this is somebody that you are at a distance from in terms of time, that has kept you in like a no contact situation, for example, this again can really speak about starting from square one, starting from scratch, making efforts, coming towards you in more of a balanced energy than they had in the past. This may have been a connection where reciprocity was an issue. You may have found yourself giving a little too much into this situation, perhaps bordering on a bit of codependency in the situation. This person may have been taking advantage of that to a certain extent, kind of like you were continuing to give, and so it didn't necessitate them doing anything other than being on full receptive mode, which could have really led to the situation bottoming out at sort of the first sign of stress or pressure. It feels like any kind of distance that has existed between the two of you as a result of that, maybe even something where the way in which you were building with one another, it was moving too quickly for them. Even if you're going very slow and this was, kind of a gradual buildup, for example, there's something about kind of this massive opening in the heart space that they weren't necessarily prepared for that may have caused them to sort of pull back, retreat within themselves, or find a way or an excuse to sort of run in the other direction. With that being said, though, it's almost like the feelings have continued to remain within. They've only grown with time. They have really had this opportunity to sort of weigh the pros and cons in the situation. And again, it's this desire to move back towards you after having seen the light in some way, recognizing that they do miss you, they did enjoy the times you had spent together, that whatever had sort of triggered them or frightened them at the level and place you had gotten to in terms of your co-creative endeavors with one another, conversations, time spent together, levels of intimacy that were built with one another, there's a desire here to sort of course correct, again, do the right thing with the Hierophant here, to bring forth some kind of truth or higher understanding for you, answer a lot of those unanswered questions so that you have more information about sort of their motivation, it feels like, in the past than you were dealing with back then, so that you are able to very presently decide, do I want to give this person a second chance? Do I trust kind of the level of confidence they have reached within? Is this situation salvageable? Is this still what I want? If it's been an extended kind of period of no contact or disconnect, there may be a bit of fear which is holding them back. It's almost like the Chariot, which is obviously a vehicle of movement, but then it's in this stopped position. They're kind of stopped right at the brink of dialing your phone number, hitting send on that text message or email, maybe even if physical distance is not that big of an issue, kind of they're sitting in the car getting ready to drive to your house or your place of work, your place of business. Maybe this is a coworker situation with kind of this work energy and collaboration here with this Three of Pentacles. And it's almost, they're sitting in their cubicle, they're sitting in their desk, getting ready to, come up and approach you again, approach you with more enthusiasm than they had before, getting ready to sort of make that move, make that gesture, make it very clear that they are not coming with crumbs, but that they are coming towards you with the intention of building something or giving something more than they have in the past. So it's an energy of almost calm that they have achieved within themselves, and with that calm, it feels like thoughts, feelings, preparations that are being made to offer you some sort of restitution, some kind of clarity for you as far as whatever had been a mystery, whatever had been sort of in the dark or unknown or very unexplainable about their motives or the reasons behind their behaviors up to this point in time, or historically speaking. But they really feel to be leaning into their higher guidance. Really evaluating, am I ready to take this step forward? I am wanting positive movement forward, but if I am still operating with a lot of triggers, or physically that there is geographical distance, like a huge barrier between the two of you, then realistically, how much can I give at this particular point in time? It's a sense of not wanting to get your hopes up or your expectations up without a present ability to deliver upon that. Even if that present ability is just a willingness to have a conversation about how do we work around this? How do we smooth out what has gone awry in the past? How do we meet in the middle somewhere, perhaps even literally in terms of this travel and the element of geography? What do we need to do in order to evolve beyond kind of the base that we have established with one another at this point in time into something of a higher experience with one another, but rooted and grounded in the material world, in the here and now, rather than just sort of plans that are laid in place that sort of never materialize. Maybe that has been an issue up to this point in time, even with this person. Arrangements were made, things fell through, or, it was very hard to sort of commit them or sort of get them pressed into an exact date or a timeline of when things would happen, when the connection would evolve. For some people, this may have also resulted in them feeling or accusing you of kind of like backing them into a a corner, which then may have caused them to sort of run or drift away in the other direction. Hope kind of being diminished in a certain sense as far as, is this a viable situation? Where is this headed? Where is this going? All of this has not gone unnoticed by this person. And so they're very aware of kind of their own limitations in a physical geographic sense versus kind of this desire within, this sense within of, I want to build towards something substantial. I want to make substantial change in this situation. I want to turn this around, or really shift this narrative arc in a very positive direction. So I'm going to get a few oracle cards to get a little more clarification about this for you. So we have why, peace, and chop wood. So this why is definitely indicating thoughts about providing you an explanation, either about sort of a deliberate, slow-moving energy here, providing you some sort of peek into that internal world. What were their intentions behind a decision to either exit this connection, pull back their energy, expressing even those concerns if it's somebody that you're still in an ongoing interaction with, if there's a geographic distance, the desire for cracking into that untapped potential here with this piece and this little egg, but then also sort of why in terms of that their level of enthusiasm maybe can't necessarily immediately match any kind of definite action in your direction. Opening up those lines of discussion to where compromise is then a possibility, bigger plans than you have discussed up to this point in time are a possibility. It's a thought, it's feelings about bringing you peace of mind in a certain way, that any kind of delays or hesitations, it's not for a lack of interest. If it's somebody that you're at a distance from, no contact, almost wanting to bring peace of mind to you, that they have really thought about this situation. They may be in the process still with this chopped wood here. They've cleared away a lot of debris, but with this kind of mop and broom, they're still needing to kind of fine tune and refine or more deeply understand some aspect of them, which had been triggered in some way by the nature of your interactions with one another, plans that had been laid into the future. It's the idea of like cold feet with the Hierophant here. This could, for some of you, this might be somebody you were engaged to, you were making those plans and preparations. The conversation started shifting in the direction of marriage and long term, and this could have really spooked them, caused them to sort of retreat within themselves, just sort of remain very frozen in time, very frozen in place, with very little explanation of sort of what the problem was, what the holdup was, excuses that have been made to kind of not advance those plans forward. Maybe this is somebody who, if you're engaged to them, maybe even real time, and currently you're still engaged, and they've been very hesitant to sort of set a date, get those invitations out, or just do anything in terms of make those plans, make those preparations. This almost feels to be something where they're wanting to provide some kind of illumination for you about, maybe fears within themselves, fears of inadequacy, a sense of pressure within, rather than just kind of holding and internalizing all of this. This is definitely thoughts and feelings about clearing the air, but in a very gentle way with you, providing you this peek, this glance, this kind of illumination into the inner workings, into the nature of what they feel for you at a soul level, and to not just sort of provide you with this context of, this is what I'm feeling and this is what I plan to do about the things that have stood in the way of the two of us actualizing on those feelings in the material world. But it's almost the sense of, I've taken the time to think, I've reflected on this, I've cleared away a lot, there's still some work to do, I'm still kind of a work in progress in that capacity, but I've achieved or accomplished something to where it's not just empty words. There's there's actions that accompany that as well. It's apology in the form of changed action. It's explanation in the form of almost talking about certain things in the past tense, but with the proof that they have done something about that. or they're looking at this within themselves rather than just kind of moving blindly with sort of these triggers and these dark corners within that in some way have sort of halted the progress in this situation, or have maybe been leaning into almost the energy of pessimism, a little bit of overwhelm here, especially with that geographic distance that may apply for some of you. This could be almost where they have been moving in this connection up to this point in time with a sense of, it's all fine and good that we're getting along so well, that we're establishing this connection, but really what's the hope for the future when there are these huge obstacles standing between the two of us, when it's going to take more than just enjoying one another's company and kind of the will to transcend these things, but it's going to require concrete action in the material sense. There's an energy of kind of working with you to compromise where the two of you can, or to at least provide that illumination, something that can, maybe even be a very sort of, it doesn't feel like a shocking revelation of some fear they may be holding a little bit back, keeping themselves a little bit guarded and reserved, but something that it's almost, they're thinking about revealing, as far as letting you in a little bit to that vulnerability. Sort of, I have these deep, intense feelings. I want to move in the direction of very positive evolution in this sense. I want to overcome these barriers, but, I'm afraid I don't have what it takes, or, maybe finances are an issue. I can't afford to do anything about this. There's all these responsibilities on your side, on my side. How do we really make this work? How do we meet in the middle there? And so even opening those lines of discussion, it feels to be something that kind of sweeps away a lot of mystery. It shows you a preview kind of into their heart, into the deeper workings of what they feel about you, the seriousness with which they think about this. They enjoy your company so much that they are wanting to move that forward into more of a long-term fashion. This is definitely not the energy of someone whose, thoughts and feelings are, let me look for an escape plan, but it's almost, let me buy some more time while I figure out a solution about these very concrete obstacles between us. Or if it's somebody at a distance, kind of, let me do what I can, what little I can provide to prove that I've not just sort of moved on and forgotten about you in this situation. And although there are difficulties between the two of us, I'm wanting to move in that direction of peace, in that direction of, positive experiences, to kind of provide clarity and answers, clear away any sort of hurt feelings or misunderstandings, so that we're able to kind of get on equal footing with one another and really open up the possibility of substantial change into, again, a higher vibration, a more satisfying experience between the two of you than has been the case historically, or than is the case currently. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self and see what they want you to know at this time. Okay, and they say, I need you in my life. So again, plans for the future, a desire to evolve this connection forward, a big conversation that they may be planning with you that they could be a little bit nervous about. And you may be picking up a lot on that nervousness and thinking, okay, are they going to break up with me? Is the other shoe going to drop? Are they hiding some deep, dark secret? But it feels to be something that is more along the lines of, I like what we have with one another. I want to continue this. I want to develop this. I want to evolve this. I want to come back home. I want to return to you, whatever that looks like. But I don't exactly have the full plan in place of how we move from where we are at now to where I'd like to be with you. If this is somebody that you are in disconnect from, no contact, this can be along the lines of what they want to confess. I have never stopped loving you. I miss you. I still feel you within my heart. I feel your energy all around me. I want to do what I can to help repair this situation, to rebuild trust, to show you that I've reached some kind of balance within myself, wanting to operate out of an energy of integrity and provide illumination to any questions that may be lingering from the past. And they also say, I get so upset when something reminds me of you because it reminds me of how much I miss you. So again, there's that frustration of the physical distance between the two of you, wishing that you were closer to one another so that you could have face-to-face conversations, really be in the same airspace literally as one another. Even if you're, you're video chatting with one another, they're feeling that distance between screens or devices. There's a desire to reach out and to touch you, to hold your hand, to caress your cheek, to be in that nearness and proximity with you. If it's somebody you're in disconnect from, no contact with, then again, signs, synchronicities, things that are reminding them. They're sitting in a lot of nostalgia, regretting actions that were taken, especially if this was like a cold feet situation where everything was going really good. All of a sudden they ghost without warning. Everything changes. They're recognizing that this is stemmed from some trigger within themselves. It feels like they've at least looked at that. They may have done some work to try and course correct, learn some better coping mechanisms. It feels though with that Three of Pentacles and kind of the mop and broom on chop wood, they still may have more to learn, more to improve upon, but they're nearing the point of they've accomplished something, and the thoughts are, I want to present this. I want to present myself not with empty promises, but with some kind of substantial and measurable change so that the odds of rebuilding a bridge that was once burned or broken between us are greater. And they also say, the truth is, I'm scared to tell you the truth. So this is tying in for me with the idea of, this boat on either a really deep lake or the ocean. The level and nature of feelings that they have for you frighten them, they intimidate them, they may have fallen for you very quickly. It can couple in with a lot of frustration that they feel at, maybe only truly starting to understand the depth and nature of these feelings once they've let you go or moved away from you in some manner. If it's physical distance that's an issue, it's the idea of, they have fallen for you, they've caught feelings, deeper feelings than they had imagined or would have liked or had told themselves they would allow themselves to really experience. And now there's the sense of, if I open up in the heart space and I let this person in, I express the truth of what's going on within me. We still have this distance to contend with, so it just almost feels to be something where they might be holding back a little out of the sense of frustration about, well, what do we do with all these feelings? Like they're just trying to hold it within, trying to stay afloat in this situation, but really desiring kind of moving to that place where they can be open and expressive with you, and some kind of plan of action can be taken to move forward in the direction of bringing those feelings down into experiences in a more concrete material way between the two of you. They also say, I don't want to let you go. So this can indicate if this is someone in the no contact situation and a lot of time has gone by, the ocean of time, they may be sensing time is running out, or, they've reached some kind of place of revelation within themselves that it's almost they've run out of excuses to stay at a distance. All the signs point back to you, and it's really just them kind of working up some sort of plan or strategy, maybe a degree of vulnerability and openness that is very uncharacteristic for them or has not been the history between the two of you. And so a bit of fear and intimidation with that, either because it's, a new aspect of themselves, opening up about their feelings in this way. It's outside of the comfort zone, or there's also a bit of almost a fear of rejection. Maybe it's just safer to kind of hold these feelings within, keep that in a very secretive place because at least it remains preserved and intact. They also say, the life I'm living is not going how I'd imagined. So with the no contact situation, the distance has not diminished their feelings for you. If this is someone who thought maybe the grass was greener on the other side, they found that it actually wasn't. Or if it appeared to be at one point in time, it has since withered and dried up. And now they're in a place of feeling very desolate without you, almost kind of wandering in a desert, desiring kind of the quenching experience of your love, your emotional energy, your attention on them in a more direct manner. If this is someone where physical distance is an issue, it's almost the more that they kind of spend time with you or think about you or sit in the heart space, sit in these feelings, it's making it very difficult to sort of live their ordinary life in the world that they have, even if they've got a lot going for them, a lot going on as far as, career and family and friends, and they're very established and they've laid roots somewhere. It's a sense of their heart and their soul really compelling them towards you, that they may have a lot going on for themselves in a 3D material sense, but in terms of intangible wealth of the heart space, that exists with you, which exists somewhere other than where they are at presently. And they also say, I've been miserable without you. So yeah, if it's someone at a distance physically, they are miserable about that fact, that there's a lot of frustration there, that, it's not so easy to just evolve this connection forward. Any need to kind of put on the brakes or operate very slowly because of that, because there are literal geographic limits to what you can experience with one another. This is not something that sits very well with them. It feels to be at a certain point or several different points they have considered abandoning this connection out of that, in the sense of like, how are we going to make this work? How is this logically going to work consistently? Even if you traveled to one another, there's a sense of you'd have to go back home again. But as much as they've kind of chewed on that idea, they keep being brought back to the idea of, as well, within the heart space of, I want to move forward with this person. Despite the fact that there's obstacles, I'm still drawn to the fact that I would like to evolve this situation. If this is someone in the no contact circumstance, again, grass wasn't greener on the other side. The cold feet just ended up putting them out in the cold. And there is a desire to move back to the warmth of this connection, to crack open whatever seeds of potential exist, to bring you some kind of truth, some kind of explanation, some sort of demonstration of vulnerability, to hopefully build in a more productive manner toward reconnecting with one another, starting fresh, building in a better direction. So I'm going to get a little bit of guidance from Spirit about the situation for you, and then I'll close it out with some initials. Okay, so we have Brown Bear Spirit, take time out. So this can indicate if this is someone popping up from the past, re-emerging in your life. They may come saying a lot of the right things, but it's definitely, the time has served them well, and it's leaning into the encouragement to really make this time matter. You have an opportunity to allow this experience to serve you well also, and to really check in with yourself. Read between the lines. This may have been something that you were really hoping for this person's return before. They may be very serious and very genuine with what they're able to offer this time. But it's almost the idea of slow and steady best serves this circumstance. So especially if this was someone who was triggered maybe by the level of commitment or the nature of their feelings, moving slowly allows them to kind of open up at a comfortable pace, and also allows you to vet out, are they consistent? Can they maintain on these promises that are made? Can this intention truly be followed through with a consistency of action? So it's some degree of like personal boundary and barrier that is definitely advisable in this situation. Again, if it's someone from the past popping back up, if this is somebody that you're at a distance from, and there's all this frustration of, we've got these feelings, but how do we act upon them? Again, this idea of kind of reflection, rest, the time is really in place for a purpose. It almost feels to be something that might be necessary in order for the two of you to really have time to close out certain affairs in your life. If it's going to require people relocating, for example. It may even be something where, if you've only been dealing with one another remotely or online, it's almost kind of, you could be looking at the distance as sort of a baneful energy, but instead it's actually a blessing in the sense of, the intimacy that you've been able to establish with one another via chat, via email, via text, via video chat. That might feel very real, very visceral. You might feel this person energetically, but there's going to be a whole different level to getting to know them when you're face to face. That can change a lot. When it's not just this kind of limited interaction, and then you're both going back to your world, you're going on to your separate realities, that there's almost this need to kind of find a way to sort of bridge this gap between the two of you. You know, if you need to make plans and preparations and it's a little bit far off in the future, maybe you need to save money or they need to save money, you know, use this time wisely to really continue to get to know one another, continue to dive deeper. You know, if this truly is like a deep loving connection, then, you know, love is patient, love is kind, love will wait, good things take time. And it's also something to where, you know, it might be almost, it brings forth a new level of your connection with one another, like you're meeting one another for the first time when you're able to face interact, something that may feel so right and so true and like what both of you want moving forward. That could be a very different story when you're eye to eye with one another and spending these extended amounts of like physical time with one another, if you plan a trip or a vacation or some kind of a meetup. So again, this idea of just take it slow, check in with yourself. You know, try not to get too tangled up in kind of the idea of like pining or longing for one another, that physical distance might almost feel like a challenge that could cause people to invest too much idealism in sort of the prize that exists on the other side of climbing that mountain. And so it's something to where you need to kind of just look at this circumstance, this block is in place for a reason. You know, maybe there are things that each of you kind of needs to sort out within yourselves in order to be truly ready to open that door and experience something grounded and long term with one another. This can also be something which really allows you both the time. You know, you've taken this time to get to know one another in sort of a virtual or a distanced sense at this particular, up to this particular point. You know, that physical barrier, if you're able to sort of cross that with one another, this might also be the opportunity to sort of take things slowly in that capacity rather than just rushing forth into something too soon, too quickly on kind of that next level capacity. And having the roots that you've laid with one another up to this point in time, there's a need to kind of have those be sustainable with whatever else you're planning on building with one another in the future. So these initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, W, B, D, U, V, O, V, J, M, A, U, A, B, I, Y, T, O, C, P, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the Aventurine, along with this card, which says love begins. So to channel some quick introductory energies from this card, this can be a newer connection, somebody that you have just started dating, talking to, or seeing, or even somebody who, you know, these deeper feelings are developing for, along the lines of, I want to make a permanent commitment with you. If this is someone you've been seeing for a while and there's been love to a certain level, it almost feels to be something where you're getting the sense, you're getting the stirring that maybe this could be the one. This could even be something where this person has started to act kind of funny, nervous around you. Maybe, you know, if it's somebody who hasn't yet confessed their feelings, for example, they could blush, they could stutter, you know, they could have a hard time holding eye contact with you. A lot of magical energy between the two of you, fireworks, this electricity, just the blossoming of new potential here, either feelings germinating for the first time. Maybe this is a friend that you've developed deeper feelings for, and then you're really sensing this mutual chemistry. Again, sort of your spidey sense indicating to you that they may be on the brink of confessing something deeper, or this can also relate to somebody that you have been seeing for quite some time and your heart has opened up to a whole new level of experience with them. If you were sort of, you know, taking your time, just keeping it casual, keeping it surface level, this almost speaks to like heart chakra opening or activation kind of energy, which may have happened. You may be experiencing kind of the symptoms of that in conjunction with intersecting with this person, spending time with this person, you know, even just kind of the more you get to know one another, the deeper your heart opens to sort of these new levels and experiences of sensation and feelings. There may be a bit of fear and trepidation on your part as well, though, if you have been, you know, recovering from some kind of heartbreak from the past, something, you know, or maybe you were just wanting to keep things casual, or if this is a friend that you've developed feelings for and maybe you told yourself, I'm going to stay single for a while, I'm not going to date. Lo and behold, the heart had other ideas in this situation. This may be something where that's kind of filling you with a sense of uncertainty. If I were to confess these feelings, if they were to admit to some feelings, am I ready to take that leap of faith? Am I ready to give somebody my heart? You know, a sense of feeling very safe in this person's presence, very much at peace, very, very nurtured. If this is a connection where, you know, you're both kind of in it for romance, that's the understanding here. You're dating, you're spending time with one another. Again, that energy of a little bit of fear and trepidation, a sense of, you know, is this too good to be true? Maybe this person checks off a lot of boxes for you or is showing up in a way that is very unusual for what you're used to experiencing in love and partnership and romance. And you're sort of wondering, when's the other shoe going to drop? Is, you know, again, is it too good to be true? Is this an all that glitters sort of situation? So there's an energy of feeling a lot, feeling very compelled in the direction of the exploration, you know, the discussion of these things, the conveyance of these feelings. But then there's also a little bit of holding back, sort of like, am I ready? Am I ready to open myself up to the potential of love, which also, you know, opens one up to the potential of a possible heartbreak. That is definitely a consideration here. So a lot that's almost kind of being triggered in order to be shed, it feels like, in preparation for whatever may or may not occur with this person in the future, or that they might even represent kind of something in like a soul contract sort of level where, you know, they've opened something up within. There's these feelings that have germinated, but with that is also, as the nature of kind of your soul contract, the agreement of, we're going to help one another kind of dredge up a lot of this debris from the heart space, to be cleared away so that it does not continue to operate as like a block or a self-limiting behavior, so that moving forward there's a greater capacity to give and receive love in a healthy and high vibrational way, to whoever the heart may choose, and whoever chooses, you know, each other at kind of the heart level. So you get some tarot to get a little more clarification as far as the nature of this person's thoughts and feelings about you. And before I get into that, because so much of this energy, this kind of initial channeling, it felt to be very directed towards you, but I'm also drawn to the fact that there are two trees here. So this feels to be kind of this idea of mutual energy, that idea of these feelings and also the fear, that's very that is very mutually felt by them as well. They're feeling the same thing you are. They are feeling, you know, a lot surfacing, a desire to kind of evolve this situation further, but then they're also being confronted at this particular point in time with sort of the limits within, or a fear of getting hurt, ghosts of the past that may be surfacing, kind of for that final vanquishing of these things. It almost feels to be something where they're feeling, or they're getting this indicator that the experience with you, whatever the result of that is, that this is somehow a rite of passage or a milestone, that they already feel so healed in the heart space, just spending time with you, you know, in whatever kind of layer your romance has budded with one another up to this point in time. There's a desire to go deeper, but then also a recognition of kind of a dual purpose here, in some way clearing away a lot of clutter and debris that has existed within. So there's a lot of gratitude sort of embedded with all of this, and it feels like is something which is encouraging them to kind of lean in deeper, almost from a higher self level. They may be very fearful, but they're kind of forcing themselves to confront these fears, because again, regardless of sort of what the result is between the two of you in a long-term sense, there's something else to be accomplished for each of you on an individual level, in terms of clearing away a lot of debris that ultimately does not serve a high vibrational love story in a long-term sense. And in order to really know how to clear that away, it almost needs to just be stirred up from where it's existing within the subconscious to be able to be faced and then consciously released. So it's a lot of healing in this situation, but with that is more than just feeling gratitude for these feelings in the nature of your interactions with one another as like a healing capacity, a balm for something. There's also a lot of genuine feelings, a lot of genuine romance or love that is really blossoming within them. That again is coaxing them through what almost just might be a very kind of uncomfortable process of releasing some anchors or some distortions in terms of their experiences in love up to this point in time, and kind of how they imagine maybe even the circumstances of where love would next find them, especially if this is like a friend situation, you know, or something where you're dating one another. It could be that they're kind of catching deeper feelings, more intense feelings than they thought should be the case, or you know, they may be grappling with something as well about like, is this appropriate? Is it, you know, am I ready to kind of take a friendship to the next level? Risk sort of if the romance unravels, what happens to the friendship? All of these kind of questions, definitely confronted with a lot of fear, but sort of the carrot at the end of the stick is this love? It is this romance? It is this blossoming in the heart space level? So let's see what else you need to know about their thoughts and feelings about you at this time. Okay, so we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Queen of Pentacles, more Earth energy. And Three of Swords, air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. So there is that polarity of fear. They feel a lot of deep and blossoming emotions for you. They are seeing this as something that could really develop and be nurtured into something very beautiful in the long-term sense. But in order to reach that place, or reach the place within them, kind of a confidence and an assurance to be able to provide you with something or reciprocate with you, a love offer, you know, loving energies, kind of the beginning or the furtherance of love between the two of you, it's really requiring the confrontation of sort of everything that they hold within, all of this unconscious programming, memories, beliefs about love, even just kind of very visceral triggers or something on like a neurological level, that the more they're feeling, it's almost might be kicking up a lot of fear as well. And this isn't something that they're kind of just passively, it feels like, being tossed to and fro, and in the energy of like, well, I feel so much for this person, but I'm so afraid, so I'm going to run. They're really recognizing that kind of what doesn't belong in this equation. These are very beautiful and empowering energies. And then here's the elephant in the room in the form of, okay, this is possible between the two of us, kind of going from this unexpressed potential here, all of this beauty, all of this, rich experience that you have one another at this point in time, and kind of taking that to the next level, solidifying it in some way, nurturing these seeds of potential, or the roots that you've already laid with one another up to this point in time. But in order to do that in a productive way, it's very conscious knowing that whatever sort of distortions they hold within, whatever is really surfacing, even if it's just a very nebulous energy of fear, that this is something, answering the call of this, the call of heartbreak and fear, and like self-fulfilling prophecies. Maybe they have run from love before, or run from their feelings, and they're trying to course correct in this situation. That the solidity is possible on the other side of their willingness to face and vanquish whatever that fear looks like for them, in whatever way that's manifesting, because it's going to be different for everyone. It feels to be something that almost just might be, it's not necessarily conscious logical things. It almost just feels to be an energy, like a shiver almost. Things are going really well. They're feeling this kind of expansiveness, their heart getting really big and overflowing, kind of this, maybe even something where they've been on the brink of confessing deeper feelings, confessing their love, maybe expanding on the territory between the two of you, if it's just a platonic connection up to this point in time, and then almost right at the brink of taking action, right when they are at the point of speaking that truth, some kind of shiver in the heart space, like a cold wind just kind of has driven them back into the place of, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. But they feel very consciously aware of that there's a lot of potential here. This fear is definitely not limiting them from wanting to invest further in the situation with you, wanting to build, wanting to grow, wanting to evolve. You check off a lot of boxes for them in terms of who you are as an individual. They may be somebody who has a history of kind of being in codependent connections. They themselves may be codependent. They may have attracted in a lot of needy partners, or people who just kind of use them for a source of stability, or maybe even with all this Pentacles energy, things they could provide in terms of comfort, creature comforts in the material world. And they're seeing you as someone who is very different from who they have dealt with romantically in their past. You're almost kind of this safe space in which their heart could bloom, perhaps for the first time ever. But with that is sort of the fear of like, well, what if I get it wrong though? What if the rug is pulled out? What if, it may even be a little bit of like a lack mentality. What if I can't match up to this energy of a very kind of safe home, a safe harbor in which love can blossom and bloom? What if what I have to bring to the table is just fear and kind of lack and all the memories and the ways in which I've contributed to experiences in my past which have fallen apart? All of this feels to be something which is kind of circulating round and round and round. But again, it's something which is not stopping them. Almost the power and the velocity of all of these very strong pentacle energies right here. It's any sort of resistance that they're feeling, it's almost just being shoved out of the way by whatever continues to grow between the two of you. Even if this is something where they haven't necessarily, confessed their feelings yet, or they have this desire to kind of move deeper with you and you haven't had that conversation, it's almost the seeds of potential within them have already taken root and are already blossoming. And so it's the idea of like driving in a really fast car and watching the scenery go by on a highway. That's what this kind of Three of Swords is, that shiver, these fears that sort of rise and then are cast aside. But there may be a lot of this debris, maybe even past life things stemming from childhood, different kind of abandonment wounds, different things that they've witnessed, stories of friends or family members and kind of relationships gone sour. All of this is kind of circulating up because they have this very deep feeling that this could really be a solid, substantial, stable partnership. This could be the one. This could be true love. And in order to really make that decision, from a logical space, from kind of all the boxes that you tick off for them, from your real world experiences with one another, from checking in on the emotional level and allowing love to blossom and grow and develop in an appropriate time. It is also a very necessary phase for them at this point in time to feel or to confront all of the contradictions or the distortions within them that keep them from opening up most fully at the heart space. This Three of Swords also for me oftentimes can represent a heart chakra awakening or opening, so it's tying in with this idea of love begins, and less of like a pessimistic energy. This is actually speaking about sort of the feelings they have for you have punctured a hole in what had been kind of the ceiling or the epitome of what they thought was possible in terms of waves of sensation within. So it may be something where they're needing to kind of try to keep their feet on the ground. It's a big energy. It's almost kind of like Eight of Wands energy. It's just a substantial force that's moving. It's new territory. They feel very excited about that, wanting to continue to participate, to expand, to see where this goes, what this might develop into. It's this thought and this feeling of, again, this could be very beautiful. This could really blossom into something very nurturing, very healing for the two of us. But in order to really do that, there's kind of this simultaneous energy of participating with you, allowing these feelings to develop, and on the side, kind of confronting, clearing away, or even just allowing kind of what is growing to push away what does not serve or what limits kind of the full inhabiting of that energy of potential between the two of you. So I'm going to get some oracle cards, get a little more clarification about this for you. So we have to be fair, observer, and go the distance. So this go the distance definitely speaks about long-term potential. They're seeing you, they're feeling you as somebody who they want in their life in the long term. They're seeing this connection and what you've experienced with one another up to this point in time as having a lot of the qualities of something enduring, what they have been looking for. It's almost the idea of somebody who has searched far and wide for a type of connection like this. In many ways, you bring balance and a groundedness to this person, especially if this is like a friend who has developed deeper feelings. It's a sense of kind of the best of both worlds. It's like a best friend energy and the energy of that kind of ultimate partner, that ultimate companion. There's romance and there's the platonic element, to where, even if there's some differences between the two of you, you don't exactly see eye to eye on all things. Nevertheless, you help to provide them some kind of a new perspective of how to look at the world, or they're really seeing you as somebody just in your authenticity, that you help to kind of make sense of a lot of unanswered questions for them, maybe even kind of bigger questions as well about their missteps in love, kind of the tragedies in love, and how this has all sort of been a pavestone to this place in time, meeting you at this exact crossroads point, the way in which your connection has developed up to this point in time. There's even the fearful energies that are sort of hinted at here with the Three of Swords. It's moving beyond that. It's still wanting to continue to invest, the idea of observer and sort of seeing that long-term potential. You're really helping to kind of not just blossom something in terms of romance and emotions within this person at the heart space level, but again, this kind of dual purpose of really addressing and confronting and becoming very aware with kind of this moon here, this sort of waning crescent moon. It's diminishing, it's falling away, sort of these limitations, lack, or contradictions within themselves that sort of keep them from tapping in with this little egg right here to the full potential of what love could be, what it should be like, in all the ways it is different from kind of the sourness of love that they've experienced in the past. You're renewing hope for this person. You're making them very hopeful for the future. And again, kind of a difficult or an uncomfortable phase of feeling so much enthusiasm, but then these cold shivers of hesitation, or an awareness that they are even logically thinking about in a practical sense of kind of what has gone wrong in previous connections, not wanting to repeat those same mistakes or errors in this situation. But rather than being kind of on the fence about, well, I need to think about this, I need to come up with another strategy, it's almost in real time they are implementing that. They are that strategy in motion. Rather than getting tripped up and sort of held back by a lot of these fears, they're allowing it to just flow through them. They're sort of looking at the bigger purpose here, that this could be that new beginning they've been looking for. This could really be the opportunity to heal a lot of heartbreak within through the experience of a very positive and different sort of connection than they have had in their past. That through this kind of gift of healing that is offered in the form of the connection you've established with one another at this point in time, that it serves again that dual purpose of kind of closing out some storylines of sort of fear and heartbreak that they've been holding on to, and also really gives them the opportunity to heal more on an emotional level, and in real time, in a practical sense, be able to sort of present this more well-rounded or loving version of them that in some way had been distorted through experiences in their past. That you both heal them, and at the same time you are that kind of ripe ground in which to sort of plant these new seeds of potential and experience a different kind of face of love than they have known before. So it's the idea of kind of learning not through painful lessons or harsh truths in reality, but actively in the heart space, emotionally speaking, this person is really learning from you actively in real time through this very beautiful kind of flow of love that is blossoming from within. It is teaching them through a very beautiful experience. So it's very healing and very empowering for them. Your interaction with one another, the prospect of the future with one another. They see this as something they want to continue to invest in. They want to continue to grow and develop with you. And they're very, very curious, very enthusiastic, very committed to seeing kind of what else develops between the two of you in the future. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now and see, what does this person want you to know at this time? Okay. And they say, I spend a lot of time alone in my car thinking about you. So they are definitely soul searching, introspecting at this particular point in time, getting ready to make some kind of confession, dive in deeper, open up about feelings, maybe for the first time. It almost brings to mind the idea as well of like a sanctuary with this Queen of Pentacles right here, where the experiences with you, the thoughts of you, the memories of you, the feelings that you've really evoked from within them, it's a safe space, it's a safe harbor. It makes them feel very nestled and contained. They feel very safe to kind of swim in the sea of love with you and in their own emotions, in a sense that they may have really avoided a lot of this kind of pain that has come up in their past. But through the experiences with you, it almost feels like a bigger mechanism has taken place. The car is in motion, and they are now on this highway watching the scenery of all of the excuses as to why this connection wouldn't work, all the kind of reasons why love never works out for them in general. All of the heartbreak they've been holding on to that has in some way kind of tainted their view of what is possible in connections with another person. All of this is sort of evaporating in an energetic sense. This doesn't mean that the memories are gone, but it's almost they're able to review these things now without being so stuck or limited or kind of falling back, and they are instead growing beyond that and kind of moving to the place of wanting to take a leap of faith forward, wanting to continue to invest and grow and develop with you. They also say, I need you in my life. So this is talking about a need and a want. They get a lot of satisfaction based on the nature of your dealings with one another up to this point in time. In a variety of ways, you check a lot of boxes for them. This idea, though, with "I need you in my life" can tie into the idea of codependency that they are dealing with, that they have dealt with in partners in the past, where this has been, a hesitation maybe to fully open up to you. It almost feels to be something that, if this has made them go kind of slow in this situation or establish some kind of boundary or barrier, not wanting to repeat that same cycle, or that's been kind of their experience in love and partnership up to this point in time, you're helping them to sort of rewrite the narrative of what they've magnetized in up to this point in time, what they've known love to be up to this point in time. It almost feels like efforts that they've made, if they are the codependent, to kind of heal this within themselves, to maintain their kind of own autonomy, their own life, their own interests, and not just kind of get swallowed up by connections or dissolve themselves or give pieces away of themselves away in order to sort of fit into what they think a partner wants. In real time, experiences with you are helping them to really understand that they are worthy of love as they are, that kind of their own identity is valid and is worth recognizing and holding space for, that they don't need to be any less of who they are in order to experience love. They need to continue to be kind of the fullest version of who they are inside, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And as much as they've shown that to you, authenticity to some degree, and you remain very receptive to them, very engaged with them, it's something which is really helping them to see that it's okay to need someone in your life, because they really want you in their life as well. You help them to really see and sort of look at the fact that they need and want this version of them that they may have been working on, and that there's actually a place where this true version of them is well received, is seen, and is appreciated. They also say, "I regret letting others come in between us." So this can tie into, it feels most likely ghosts of the past or a bit of heartbreak, kind of third-party energies in the form of their fears as far as love is concerned. It feels like this person has had deeper feelings for you than they have let on for quite some time, but they may have been sort of holding back out of this, not wanting to kind of get ahead of themselves, dive in too quickly, a sense of almost wanting to make really certain, because they see so much long-term potential here, they're wanting to do things right. But it may have almost leaned into a little bit of kind of shadowy Knight of Pentacles energy, trying to do things the right way and creating at least what they perceive as some sort of a delay. Because the truth is, they have a lot of love for you. They have these deep feelings for you. There's no degree of doubt that kind of stands in the way of them fully understanding and knowing, I feel this profound stirring in the heart space for this person. What does stand in the way is kind of the experiences with people who were not caring with their heart, people who did not treat their heart with respect. And so it's almost kind of comparing apples to oranges, this situation, what they have with you in real time, which is so different from what they've known of love and partnership in the past, but then comparing that in some way to the lens of what has fallen apart in other situations, which is a very admirable, it's a very responsible, very emotionally responsible response to kind of difficulty and pain and distortions of the past. But it almost feels to be something where they themselves are seeing they've crossed some kind of line with that. They've carried that too far, that it's all the evidence points to the fact that what they have with you so far, it's different from what they've known. So all kind of evidence points to the fact that it will continue to kind of grow and blossom into something, which is solid, is stable, is nurturing. It will continue to be what it has presented itself to be on the surface level. So anything that they are sort of digging their heels in up to this point in time, they're kind of getting to the point of recognizing that they need to kind of let that guard down, let that wall down, allow love to blossom now into the next sort of level of what's possible between the two of you. And they also say, so many times I had the phone in my hand ready to reach out to you. So this ties into the idea of deeper feelings, and they have confessed and they have had for them for quite some time. This is something that whenever that point comes where they are telling you they love you, asking that question, making that level of commitment, or opening up about their feelings for the first time. It's not like these are new feelings. They have thought about this for quite some time. They've been mulling this over. They've been strategizing. They've been weighing almost sort of the pros and cons about this situation, to remain in place or to dive fully in. And so it's something that when this comes forth, it almost feels to be something that will be in a very confident state. It's not coming off of impulse. This is an energy that it's grounded in reality. It practically builds. Each time you interact with them, it adds more and more to that place of certainty that investing with you in a long term is in their best interest. And they also say you're the only person I've ever felt comfortable enough to just be myself with. So that's that confirmation of that sanctuary, that kind of home base that they feel with you, a place where the true nature of their heart, a tenderness they hold inside, the authenticity of who they are, scars and all, that you've been very accepting of that, even if they've not directly spoken about these things, about all the kind of ups and downs in their love life up to this point in time. It's something which they recognize as kind of part of their core signature. It may have been something which got in the way of connections in the past. Almost a sense of having a difficult time trusting or opening up, or again, that sort of shadowy Knight of Pentacles energy where, they kind of move very methodically. That might have tried other people's patience and kind of time ran out, situation unraveled. Or a sense almost of the idea here as well with kind of they're comfortable enough to be themselves. They could definitely be the one that kind of has tendencies toward codependency, giving away parts of themselves in order to sort of contort into who they think the other person wants them to be, which has just led to heartbreak again and again and again, having to start over, and each time just compounding this level of sort of pessimism within themselves. So you're actively helping them to kind of rewrite the narrative of their romantic life, helping to kind of build and reinforce their self-esteem as they are presenting themselves to you in kind of more authenticity than is typically the case when matters of the heart are involved. It may even be, if this is something where it's a friend who has developed deeper feelings, that element of starting off as friends first has really helped this person to show more of who they truly are, and then the feelings have come secondary. So they've already established this kind of base, this kind of level with you of this is who I am, take it or leave it, and you're continuing to participate with them, so that when these feelings have opened up, it's almost the sense of I've never felt this nature of feelings in conjunction with somebody that I am more of who I am truly at the core level. So it may be a little bit of also kind of this hesitation as well. Like if they open it up about these feelings based on what you know of them up to this point in time, your dealings with them up to this point in time, are you going to reciprocate? Is this something where you're able to sort of cross that line, where you're interested in kind of evolving something further? Is this something where you might only see them as a friend? So a bit of a lack mentality here, where they're looking at their own flaws maybe as a lot more grievous or a lot more negative than they are in fact. And so that also can be kind of shadowy Knight of Pentacles energy. They're a little bit hesitant. They're not necessarily fully confident and sort of like, I'm ready to take that leap of faith, but they keep leaning into that place of feeling more and more comfortable to unveil some sort of truth to you. They also say, don't believe what you see or hear because I'm not okay. So this is tying into the idea of whatever the dynamic is between the two of you at this point in time. They do not want this to be the full extent of your connection. They want more. They want to go in deeper. They want to expand this connection. Even if they just sort of present, this external appearance of, I'm fine with us just being friends. I'm fine with us just kind of casually dating one another. I'm fine with us, living together, but we're not really making any kind of long-term solid plans. Just whatever that looks like. I'm fine with us flirting. I'm fine with us chatting, and that's the full extent of it. There's definitely more than meets the eye in this situation. You've awakened something in their heart space. Love is blossoming. Feelings of romance are blossoming. A desire to invest. Future potential that they see in this connection. And it feels to be something that they may still be in the process of kind of moving along that highway, watching the distortion kind of pass them by in the window or even in the rear view mirror. But they keep leaning closer to that space of I'm ready to open up. I'm ready to confess. I'm ready to take this further. So I'm going to get some guidance for you from Spirit about the situation, and then I will close it out with some initials. Okay, so we have Dragonfly Spirit, truth transcends illusion. So this is an indicator here that the nature of your connection may be on the brink of deep transformation, a heartfelt confession from this person that opens whole new doors of possibility between the two of you. This really encourages, though, that, this may be a situation where you've been comfortable for a period of time in like a certain dynamic with one another, especially if it's a friend situation where there's deeper feelings, that it may take some time to kind of acclimate to this new territory between the two of you. So it could require a lot for this person to confess, to sort of work up the nerve and really express what is in their heart, what is germinated, what is stirred within. But it's encouraging you to have patience with sort of how the situation unfolds from that point, that leap of faith is a big step, that confession, that opening up is a big step, but then there's still going to be time that is necessary to kind of meet each other in this new energy, get to know one another with sort of this openness, feelings out on the table, everything's spoken, the heart space is open and exchanging. It also really ties into the idea, though, of kind of a dual purpose in this situation, that it feels like mutually for the two of you, this is an opportunity to really confront some triggers and fears within, to release some blocks that keep each of you from receiving and experiencing healthy and reciprocal and high vibrational love with another person, and also with yourselves first and foremost. So rather than just kind of purely looking at this situation as something romantically that can develop into something more, it's almost this indicator to kind of look within and see any sort of fears you have, any degree of impatience, anything that's kind of coming up, even if it's just sort of, you're having a really good time with this person, and then there's almost this shiver of hesitation where you're sort of backing up or you're becoming a bit apprehensive. This is that nature of that trigger, something within, maybe something deeply embedded, wounding from childhood, past life wounding, something archetypally that has repeated itself in other relationships, that there's something more to be gained. There's healing on an emotional level for each of you that is available here, individually, and then also in terms of what you can experience with one another. So not limiting yourself just to the surface sort of layer of romance, but really turning your attention as well to kind of that deeper process of healing that is available. This is definitely a connection. If you're feeling that hesitation and trepidation a little, it's that invitation to sort of see from a wider lens that in this circumstance, what might be very fear-based energy is actually a threshold of healing that you're being invited to sort of cross, to release and relinquish that pain that may have been an anchor for so long, and to really open and allow yourself to experience the transformational power of love, positive experiences of love, lessons and growth through positive experiences rather than kind of like pain and heartbreak. So the initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. F, F, A, W, L, U, H, N, A, S, V, O, Y, Y, E, P, M, T, O, P, and I. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that channel in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Amethyst, along with this card, which says partnerships and alliances. So to channel some quick introductory energies from this card about the person on your mind's thoughts and feelings about you and the connection, there's definitely an energy of them feeling strongly bonded to you. They may recognize a soul connection between the two of you, some kind of past life element to this situation, a sense of familiarity almost. I've known you from somewhere. You feel like a safe home or a safe harbor to me. This is giving me the impression of like Two of Cups energy. So they may view you as a soulmate, or again, are really feeling very strongly the sense of this is not an ordinary connection. It's no accident that two of you have encountered one another. A sense of feeling very bonded to you as well, despite any kind of difficulties you've faced, any sort of distance between the two of you, even at this current point in time. Even with this Two of Cups energy, this is card number 3. So this can definitely tie into third-party situations on either your side, their side, both sides, and despite that, they can't shake this bond that they feel with you. If this is a person who left you for another person, juggled you, made you feel like an option, maybe life has carried the two of you in opposite directions and you've since moved on with other people, they're still very much drawn to you. They're still very much fixed on your energy. It's a sense of almost we belong together. So maybe a wrong choice was made, or kind of grass wasn't necessarily greener on the other side. A recognition that it feels like they're coming to at this particular point in time, that a third party they might be involved with is some kind of karmic connection, that there's some maybe toxicity going on, or a sense almost as they're able to see into kind of the deeper, more spiritual elements between the two of you, this kind of eternal bond energy. It's almost bringing forth contrast, or it's highlighting the ways in which somebody who maybe on the surface level fits all of those kind of objective requirements. It looks like the right partner. It's something that people in their life really approve of. For all intents and purposes, this is the kind of person that they should be with, or it's something that really fits and feeds sort of their ego-based needs, that it is no longer kind of satisfying to them because they're sort of reaching deeper into this element of, but at a soul level, I'm drawn to this other person. Despite the fact that I've got everything going in the material world, I can't shake this connection to this other person. And so it almost feels to be something even that the nature of the bond between the two of you, even if you're in like a no contact situation, this may be ruffling the feathers of a third party. It's creating dissonance and discord within that home unit. That other person really sensing and recognizing sort of this higher level of connection between you and this person that defies in many ways what the third party and this person share. That third party could be a very decent person, a very fine human being, and yet at a certain level, it's almost the nature of that dynamic is just, it's meant for like a lesson, or it highlights some kind of limit, something in terms of just like a lower capacity or potential, it feels like, for everybody involved. That third party may have a soulmate somewhere out there that the longer they stay involved kind of with this person, it's keeping everybody at a distance from like their true destiny. So it feels to be something that it's almost kind of like a tangle or a web of contradictions here. The idea of this person kind of in body, they're going through the motions in their life, in their ordinary reality, in the life they've constructed for themselves, but at the soul level, they still feel very drawn to you. They're very pulled in your direction. It's like an unbreakable bond. Time has not torn this asunder. Other people in the mix have not torn this asunder. Efforts that they may have made to even sort of cut away, cut cords with you, disconnect, forget all about you, to no avail. They're coming to this recognition that this is an unbreakable bond between the two of you, and it's really making them start to kind of question choices that they've made in their life up to this point in time, or the life that they're living. Is this truly serving their highest good, or is it something where it's almost this element that they feel this kind of deeper bond with you, is this, they're starting to really say, is my destiny, am I intended to be somewhere else? Is there some kind of higher purpose for my life? That there's clearly a higher purpose to this bond between the two of you, and so it's almost like they're running through their list of excuses that keep them in their present reality, or keep them from sort of actualizing this. This can also be kind of Three of Pentacles energy, a sense of like this etheric bond and hesitations that have existed up to this point in time, and kind of grounding this down into material reality. Maybe a foundation that was laid between the two of you at one point, and then it was like a failure to launch situation. They have not forgotten about you. They keep being drawn back to some kind of crossroads moment and feeling they really made the wrong choice in this situation. So I'm going to get some tarot to dive a little bit deeper into this, about the nature of this person's thoughts and feelings about you and the connection. Okay, so we've got the Three of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Nine of Cups, more water energy. And the Page of Pentacles, earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. So there's that third party energy with the Three of Cups here. And it really ties into the idea with this Nine of Cups. They may be trying to kind of put on a brave face, put on a happy face, project and present that everything is going really well in their life. They're satisfied with the life in which they are living. This person and the third party may be very kind of concerned with appearances. They're posting a lot on social media. Everything's great. We're this happy couple, kind of over explaining just how happy of a couple that they are. But it really ties into the idea of this person feels very alone in this dynamic, that they're there in body, but their heart is definitely somewhere else. They left their heart with you, or their heart is being called to you, compelled in your direction. And it may be very challenging for them at this point in time. Almost, do I have what it takes in order to make changes in accordance with sort of where I'm being drawn at the soul level? Almost a sense of kind of creature comforts, or some level of material stability, or just kind of predictability. This may be something which is kind of keeping them rooted very firmly in place. But it's a sense of tension that underlies that. Beyond the mask, beyond the presentation, there's a sense of almost kind of dread or doubt. Have I made the right decision? Is this really in my long-term good and in my highest good? It's the idea of, almost with this Nine of Cups as well, that it's kind of that prelude to the Ten of Cups, the emotional fulfillment. You represent that sort of missing cup for them. You're that missing link, that they may have everything else going for them, even if they're single, even if they're not seeing anyone else, and kind of third parties can represent just sort of dating around, keeping their options open. Again, it's this idea of they're presenting that they are very happy with this choice on the surface level, but inside it's almost they're understanding that they're breadcrumbing themselves to a certain extent in terms of what they've settled from, or what they've walked away from, or chosen not to participate with in terms of you in this situation. They still hold on to the memories between the two of you. They may hold hope for the future. It almost feels to be something that kind of complacent at this particular point in time in terms of making necessary changes. It almost might be something where they're kind of hoping that maybe the third party pulls the plug on this situation and sort of saves them the trouble. A sense of a bit of kind of fantasizing about, in the perfect world, this other person, might do the heavy lifting for me. Or if you're the one that has a third party situation in the mix, and in the perfect world that would dissolve, and then I'd rush right in with my offer. I'd make myself known. That's the only thing that's stopping me is kind of, this very big sort of block in the form of an emotional connection to another person. Or if this is somebody who's who's just kind of keeping their options open, just sort of dating around, playing the field. You know, it's a sense of kind of the connection that they've had with you is the only real thing of substance that they have felt maybe ever or in quite some time. Nobody else is matching up. Nobody is coming close to kind of delivering that level of deep core satisfaction, soul satisfaction, that soulmate sort of energy. And it's a feeling of that they've almost cheated themselves out, that whatever door or road that they've selected, it's they're on the losing end. The prize isn't as great as they thought it would be. But it also feels to be a bit of struggle and lack as far as what do they really have to offer at this point in time that would maybe erase hurt feelings, a sense of kind of that they miss their chance with you, and yet you know, they're kind of just, they're still holding on to some sort of hope for the future, a seed of potential. Maybe someday I'll be ready. Maybe someday this will change. This can speak to some sort of offer that they may want to make if there's not an actual kind of regular third party in the mix in the situation. This can even indicate consideration about sort of putting away their player ways and really getting serious, that when it comes time to these thoughts about of all the possible options, of all the different, you know, characters who I've had in my romantic life, you know, who could I see myself settling down with? Who could I see myself building a solid and substantial future with? You know, the answer is you. You represent the one in a lot of ways in terms of you are the best choice. You're the best candidate. This was the closest thing that they'd experienced to real love and partnership, and they've not been able to forget that. They still really hold on to that. They treasure the memories, the experiences with you, and it's a sense as well of feeling that they have really left a treasure behind in their decision not to continue to participate with you or choosing someone else over you. They've shortchanged themselves in this situation. So I'm going to get some oracle cards to dive in a little bit deeper. We have Observer, Orphaned, and Go the Distance. So this orphaned energy really does speak about, you know, shortchanging themselves, having made the wrong decision. They're missing you. They're feeling your absence very acutely, even if they're in another connection, even if they're dating other people. It's the idea, even with this kind of figure here crying who's wearing this mask, it's just an illusion. Their happiness at this particular point in time, it's a facade, it's a veneer. There may be cracks in that veneer that are starting to show ways in which, you know, maybe on the surface, if they're in another connection, things look great. Behind closed doors, these are two people who maybe barely speak to one another, or there's a lot of tears, there's a lot of fights. It's a very gloomy sort of energy. It's like you brought color into their world, and now they live in this kind of gray existence. It's very sort of heavy. There's a lot of heaviness, a lot of sorrow over what was missed in this situation, what was left behind. It's a lot of longing. They're still mourning for you, which for some people that can be kind of surprising, because maybe it looks like they've moved on, they've developed a life with someone else, or it's been a really long time since you were in connection with one another. But they still hold grief over how this situation ended, whatever has transpired, whatever choice was made. You know, you again are that kind of missing cup that would put them at that place of the ultimate wish fulfillment, that total emotional satisfaction of the Ten of Cups. They exist, you know, in a place right now where their life's all right. They're happy with things for the most part, or at least presenting that on a surface level. But you really are that missing link, that key ingredient that could have changed everything as far as kind of the trajectory of their life, or where they would be at this particular point in time. This idea with Observer here speaks to, you know, they may be watching you from afar, thinking back, very nostalgic. It almost feels that they've kept at least a photograph, some kind of token or memento of you, something that they keep hidden that kind of in their lonely hour. This may even just be kind of these memories of you that are etched in their mind or in their heart space. You represent some kind of a sanctuary, some place that they kind of retreat into and really imagine kind of what could have been. So a little bit of sitting in sort of a pity party at this point in time, but it feels like in a lot of ways they may be leading sort of an artificial life at this particular point in time. not happy with the investment that they've made, even if that investment was simply a decision to walk away from the situation. But it feels like a bit of kind of pride and ego, sort of this trickster energy with the little coyote here, that they're almost overcomplicating things if there's no regular and official third party in the mix. If it's just kind of random people that they're dating, it's almost the sense of sort of like it's too little too late. This is something out of reach. I've missed my chance. It was failure to launch. What's the point of even trying? Maybe I'll just be rejected. Maybe it's just safer to kind of sit in the silence and watch from the shadows and wonder what if, or sit in the woulda, coulda, shouldas. And so all of that is kind of very deceptive from this deeper interest, this yearning that they have to kind of reach out, to move forward, to progress towards you, rather than allow more time to sort of slip away. And all they're left with is this kind of constancy, this ache within, this hole where you once occupied a very profound or predominant space within their lives. For some people, this can speak about kind of wrapping up the player ways and giving serious consideration to reaching out to you, making some kind of effort, making their way back towards you. But it feels to be, even with that, there is some kind of lack mentality, almost the way in which they may have handled things. They may fear that you feel discarded. Maybe they did discard you for someone else. They overlooked your value, overlooked your worth. And it's a sense of it's going to take a stretch. It's going to take a miracle almost for you to open up your heart to them again. A lot of unspoken feelings as well. As could have been somebody who denied feelings, rejected you. And that in some way it feels like was a reflection of the mask, the untruth. Maybe differences between the two of you, and they feared sort of what would other people think of this connection. Maybe you're very much opposites attract, or there was something going on in one or both your lives that on the surface they may have felt judged or kind of persecuted if they had moved towards you and furthering this connection. It also ties into the idea, even if everything on the surface was fine between the two of you, if there's nothing that was kind of odd or questionable about the nature of your bond, either outwardly or in terms of like how they were raised, their culture, their family, their friends, any of that stuff. It almost feels to be some kind of nature of this soul bond that's very outside of the box, outside of the ordinary, beyond the 3D, beyond the mundane. It's like 5D level right here. That spiritual component may have felt to them very intense, very otherworldly, something that they had no point of comparison for other relationships they'd been in, other people in their lives and kind of what those dynamics look like. And so there almost might have been sort of a fear of the unknown of this. Like, this bond goes so much deeper than the surface level that I don't know how to move in that sort of territory. And so they may have sort of discarded this or passed this by, but it's filled them with a sense of regret. What have I left behind? What have I missed out on? That they've had some kind of time or distance to really be able to sort of appreciate more deeply what they had overlooked in terms of the rare quality between the two of you. It endures. No matter who they've been with or who they're currently with, there's an endurance to this. It's you're locked together at the soul level, and it's something that they almost couldn't see when they were in closer proximity to it. And so it's a bit of energy of sort of feeling like a fool, like they've shortchanged themselves, like it's too little too late, they've missed the opportunity. If they would run towards you now, any of that feeling and potential, there's a fear that it's almost dried up, that it's a desert. What would they be moving towards? So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self and see what this person wants you to know at this time. Okay, and they say, I don't want to lose myself in this relationship. So that ties into the intensity and nature of this soul connection between the two of you. It's very outside of the box. It's unlike anything they've ever known. This may be somebody who is very kind of traditional, in terms of a religion or a culture, somebody who sort of looks at the world in terms of mundane reality, and then along comes this deep soul bond with another person, something with all of these kind of 5D implications, telepathy, meeting each other in the dream space, kind of lucid dreaming, some kind of activation or awakening which may have taken place, a very kind of electric, visceral energy between the two of you that is very outside of the ordinary. It represents a rabbit hole that they would have been invited to go down and to explore more deeply, as perhaps you have, since you're here watching a reading about this person. For at least some of you, you're going to be nodding and saying, yeah, I experience all of that same stuff. Yes, I recognize this as a soulmate or as a twin flame. It feels like instead of kind of embarking upon that path of questing, this person chose to go the other route. They sort of lean back into the comfortable and the familiar and known of the 3D, and yet they are still left with all of these kind of questions. They don't want to lose themselves. They look at kind of moving towards you as maybe a loss of these creature comforts or of some element of them, because they've not taken the time up to this point to, explore what that exactly means, what a soul connection is, what a spiritual awakening is, what telepathy is, what, energy transference and empathy is. It feels like they don't have the language for that. They don't have the understanding for that. All they know is that they feel something. All they know is they can't get you out of their heart. They can't get you out of their mind. They feel very bonded to you energetically. And so it's presenting as a problem at this point in time, which may sort of compound the energy of restraint or lack in terms of desire to move forward, but then a disconnect between kind of the present ability to do that. And they also say, I didn't want to, but I had to give you up. So this can confirm third-party energies here, some other partner that was in the mix, friends that didn't approve of the situation, family that didn't approve of the situation, a fear of what other people would think in conjunction to kind of the spiritual elements of this. Even if on the surface everything looked fine, everything looked copacetic between you, it was something which really stirred within that kind of let them know in the early days or in the early stages of this connection that this was something exceptional. This was something otherworldly, next level. They may, at the least, it feels like they may define you as their soulmate at this particular point in time. It feels maybe like one or two people has discovered the idea of twin flames, and that could be why they're feeling they've shortchanged themselves. What have I walked away from? I was very kind of scared of this connection. Now I see it's a deeper sort of spiritual bond, but it feels like they're still sort of operating in the dark for the most part, as far as concepts, as far as understanding sort of what this could be between the two of you. And it's a sense of almost kind of feeling that it was just safer to kind of lean into something predictable and known, to lean into something that sort of fit the criteria or the stereotypes of what type of partner they should be with, what was known and familiar, or again, the idea of maybe going back to an ex, somebody the family approved of, somebody they had history with. They were very drawn towards you, but at the same time, it almost might have been kind of a rush of emotions that they weren't necessarily prepared with, but they're definitely recognizing that they made the wrong choice. It's not sat well with them as much as they're trying to present everything's fine. Again, they're feeling very isolated and alone, even amongst their perhaps very crowded life at this particular point in time. And they also say, I can't figure out why you trigger me so much. So this ties into the idea of feeling those energetic sensations of a soul connection, but again, lacking the concrete information. Very little research for most people that they've done into the nature of soul connections. They just know they still feel something for you. They know they still feel very drawn to you. They know they have missed out on something big. But even with that page of Pentacles that came out in the beginning, it's almost their understanding of the full depth and nature of that is still, they're operating in the dark up to this point in time. So it just becomes this like triggering and problematic energy. A lot of regret as well. Why did they choose to walk away? Why do they still feel so drawn to you? Why can't they erase you? Why can't they forget you? Why can't they break away from this bond with you? Why do they keep being drawn back in? It feels to be something that's very much irritating, like their happiness in their life presently, it's minimal, it's a bit on the shallow end, it's a bit superficial, and yet there's something at the soul level that keeps calling them, keeps compelling them towards something more, and it feels to be almost deeper kind of tower moments than just I've chosen the path of fear over the path of love, and kind of, I'm surrounded by a partner that may fit the surface level requirements, the ego requirements, but my soul is hungering for something else. It's almost something where they may be trying to like stuff or sit on top of a spiritual awakening that's wanting to happen, kind of avoiding dark night of the soul, essentially creating the internal pressure within themselves that may be bringing upon a tower moment in their world, in their reality, because in the past they chose not to kind of go down that path of exploration. They deferred the work. You've done the work. You've up leveled. You may have even detached to a certain extent from this person and the idea of this person or their return or reunion or reconciliation or anything like that. And it almost feels to be, it's created a boomerang effect where now they may be at the point of kind of needing to make up for that lost time, some kind of energetic aspect of their compact with you that they're needing to honor in some way, or the universe is almost just kind of, it's their turn to experience that wave of change. They've deferred change up to this point in time, but it's the idea of almost having to pay the piper in a certain way. And so this may be popping up in terms of these, this constancy, these reminders, these little triggers and quakes within that is almost sort of cracking down some ego-based or a very sort of fixed polarity that they've been operating in. And they also say, I don't want to let you go. So as much as they are resisting this, they also don't fully want to release the connection. So it's a lot of confusion within this person. They're very triggered, pushed in the other way, feeling that it's just safer to kind of remain in the silence, remain in their 3D world and kind of the choice that they've made. But at the same time, they keep being drawn back to you, back to that crossroads moment, but sitting for the most part in kind of a pity party, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and yet at the same time they can't let that go. They also say, my family looks up to me and I feel I can't let them down. So more confirmation of third-party energies, maybe very specifically their family or a family member, maybe a parental figure, disapproved of you or something about this connection, had specific intentions for the type of person or a very specific person that this individual should be with, a certain way in which their life should look, or even just a sense of kind of, again, what has stirred within the feelings that they had for you and still continue this draw, this connection, that they're unable to kind of shake that and participate fully and enthusiastically in the life they are presently living. All of this is outside of the box of how they were raised, dynamics and love and partnership that they have seen demonstrated in friends and family, to where they're very kind of coaxed and pulled in this direction of you, reaching out, making some kind of offer, moving across the distance to start again. But at the same time, there's something that very reflexively kind of fears the unknown of this. Mostly it feels like some element within them that knows that this connection leads to deep personal transformation. And it's almost like, I've been this version of me for so long. Everyone's become accustomed to this. This is kind of how I was programmed to be. This is what was demonstrated. This is the path that I have carved out for myself in life. And yet I'm being beckoned in another direction, but very resistant to kind of giving up what is known and familiar. They also say, you fulfill me on an emotional and physical level. So this feels to be some confirmation here if you're wondering why this person dumped you, why it was a false start, why there was so much, chemistry between the two of you, and then the bottom fell out, or they didn't like fully act or commit or continue to participate with that. And so they're letting you know it's not for a lack of interest. They find you very appealing. They find you very satisfying. They find time spent with you very engaging. It's almost just this element of kind of that 5D connection, that otherness, that soul aspect that is outside of their comfort zone, where they've chosen the path of fear. It truly is not just the cliche of it's not you, it's me. This is truly something where like they are triggered, they are fearful. You represent change and kind of these big possibilities, not just in terms of love and partnership, but for themselves. It's almost a path, embarking on a journey to profound personal transformation. And so in some way they're very much drawn toward that, drawn towards you, very kind of satisfied with the experiences you've had with one another historically up to this point in time. And yet there's a part of them that is still kind of clinging to their 3D version, who they have been up to this point in time. And so it's sort of like a push-pull dynamic, a battle within themselves at this point in time. Continue on in the illusion, or allow themselves to kind of break free and begin that process of becoming more of their authentic self. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit for you, and then I'll close it out with some initials. Okay, we have Badger Spirit, be fearless and bold. So this is really indicating that it may be time for a very deep dive for you, deliberately going into your own sort of personal underworld here, and addressing any triggers that this situation, this reading in and of itself, anything you've really been holding on to, frustration about this connection, why somebody would pass up such, an exceptional, otherworldly, exquisite, and unique spiritual bond with somebody. You check off those boxes. It feels very mutually for one another, emotionally and physically attracted. You've got this spiritual element, and so it might be something which you've really been struggling with that. You've taken steps forward in order to kind of ground this down into material reality, and it feels like this person has not. And so this is really kind of the guidance for you to kind of create some balance and restoration and healing for yourself. Maybe you've already done that for the most part up to this point in time, but there may still be another layer to deal with, or it's time to kind of revisit all of this from the lens of where you've evolved up to in this point in time. That a bigger kind of purpose to all of this as well, with this idea of kind of the black and white badger and the yin yang sort of symbolism right there, especially if this is a twin flame connection, that first and foremost, beyond sort of romance, twin flame connections, the purpose of those is to spark and ignite deep and profound personal transformation within both individuals. In this reading, this energy is demonstrating that clearly this other person has chosen not to do the work. Nevertheless, you're encouraged to continue fulfilling your end of that contract, your end of that bargain, continuing to become the yin to your own yang. Potentially in the future, this person will start to do the work. Maybe those tower moments will occur. They'll kind of be plummeted into that dark night of the soul, and then their journey begins. Or they will choose to continue to cling to kind of the 3D material mask and reality that they've been holding so tightly to at this point in time. Nevertheless, beyond whatever does or does not take place within love and partnership in this situation, there's still a lot for you to kind of gain and to grow in a very positive way from as a result of this experience with this person. If things are a little dicey in the 3D sense, this is definitely the encouragement as well to sort of tap into the otherness of this connection, both the light and the shadow polarities of it, and use that as kind of food and fuel for you to sort of embark on or to navigate your own personal process of becoming. And in that way, you can really make the most of this very unique and exceptional experience with one another. It's the idea as well of like, never say never, be bold and fearless, move forward with your life if you feel so inclined to do that. If you're kind of at the point of, I can't hold space for them anymore, I refuse to hold space for them anymore, I love me enough to choose me rather than kind of just sit here in vain and wait for this person that may or may not change, may or may not come back, may or may not sort of take the initiative and do something or capitalize upon this dynamic. That nevertheless there is something to be experienced and gained from this situation. So really working to kind of reframe the idea of what you think it should mean, becoming that kind of vindication for yourself, not waiting for that apology, not waiting for that acknowledgement, not waiting for that confirmation, but really seeking to kind of heal. And if you feel inclined, hold space for that even just grain of possibility of what if one day, but definitely being fearless and bold in whatever other ways you're being guided on your personal path of healing, wherever you're at in this journey, whatever that looks like for you at this particular point in time. It's the idea of you can always revisit that again in the future, but now is really a time to continue to focus on your own kind of like personal healing, personal growth, accepting and loving yourself for exactly who you are in this moment as well, not getting so tangled and caught up in this perpetual cycle of healing, but really taking the time to appreciate your accomplishments, your bravery, and kind of facing this connection head on, working with these energies rather than kind of running into a polarity of fear and sort of disconnecting from them. You've actually gained very richly from this circumstance, and whether this person sort of gets with the program and comes back around in the future, ultimately, when you choose yourself, it's a win-win situation either way. So These initials can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got H, V, C, A, L, Y, W, G, A, D, H, T, Y, N, E, G, E, F, O, D, O, T, and M. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link to that channel in the description box of the video, as well as in the channel section of my page. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance, so if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.